All right, so we want to talk about Prohibition.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to bring people up to speed, so last week we had we were talking about porn, and like we just sort of like sidetracked because we were talking about if porn should be regulated and stuff here in LA, and I was taking a libertarian approach and saying we should not regulate it to the extent that it would be pushed out of town, because all you did was take business away from LA, right, where the money could be, you know, help strengthen the business economy here in LA. They pay taxes, whatnot.
Support yeshivas.
They could. Some of them are owned by Jews, right? Some of it's produced by Jews. And I was like, you know, and you can't regulate it to the point where you're going to stop people from watching it, because whenever it comes to when it comes to morality things, whether it's porn or prostitution, we mentioned that, or anal sex, oh yeah, or drinking or drugs, you can't, or gambling, you can't stop people from doing this. History has shown that in America, laws are not enough to get people to stop doing these things. People are going to do these things regardless if they are legal or illegal. And in fact, there is actually statistics that show that Americans will do it even more once it's made illegal. Americans are a little rebellious by nature, and if you tell Americans you're not allowed to do this anymore, whatever it is, that'll just make Americans want to do it that much more. This is what statistics show. Last week you took the other position, and you said, oh, let's look if the statistics, and you said, oh, the statistics are with me, don't you believe me? And you know, I didn't have the statistics in my hands because I didn't know I didn't research, I didn't prepare for the discussion because I didn't know we were going that direction. So since that time, I did look it up. I did check out the statistics, and the statistics are not in your favor. They're in my argument's favor. For instance, you said that if we Googled, that if anyone Googled, they can find statistics that say crime decreased during the Prohibition. I provided stats after that show and posted them on Facebook that show the opposite, that crime increased during the Prohibition. It is a myth that Prohibition decreased consumption and crime. It did the exact opposite. Drunken behavior and crimes due to people being drunk, according to a study according to what was published by the Cato Institute, which I published, was on the rise during the Prohibition. Organized crime, murder, violent crime was on the extreme increase. Murder went up, it skyrocketed during the Prohibition. Consumption did not decrease, it in many ways increased. There were more speakeasies per town than there had ever been legal bars before. That was very common. There was more people drinking, and though some statistics show that the amount of alcohol may have gone down a little bit, nevertheless the alcohol was stronger. That's number one. The alcohol was stronger, therefore you didn't need as much to get drunk. It was stronger because it was illegal. And second, it's hard to know exactly how many people were drinking because some people just built their own distilleries, their own still in their own backyard and never told anybody. So there was an increase overall in people getting drunk and people drinking, and crime was on the increase. So that is what I found on the internet. And are you willing to admit now that the stats do not support your position?
No.
It would take more than just statistics. It would take a black chick bringing them to you.
So in the heat of the argument last week, I believe misstate one thing. I said definitively rates of domestic violence went down under Prohibition, and I Googled that and I was unable to find any statistics either way. So I'm not sure I want to walk that one back. Other than that, the debate about the impact of Prohibition rages today. So just go to the report on, say, Google Prohibition and Domestic Violence, and you'll get a report from one university noting that this debate continues today. Some people argue that the amendment failed to eliminate drinking. It made drinking more popular among the young. It spawned organized crime and disrespect for the law. It encouraged solitary drinking, and it led beer drinkers to hard liquor and to cocktails. Opponents argue that alcohol consumption declined dramatically during Prohibition by 30 to 50%. Deaths from cirrhosis of the liver for men fell from 29.
Wait, I'm going to take notes because
You can read it all.
I'm going to refute every one of these points. They're easily
from 29.5 per 100,000 in 1911 to 10.7 per 100,000 in 1929. So was Prohibition a noble experiment or a misguided effort to use government to change morality? I don't have a position either way. I'm not pro or con Prohibition. I am pro-Prohibition on illegal drugs. The drugs such as cocaine and heroin that we've currently declared as illegal, I'm all for keeping that. I am not necessarily for bringing back Prohibition on alcohol. I don't know where government should draw the line with, say, pornography, but I do believe that a line needs to be drawn somewhere, and I am for keeping prostitution illegal in most of the United States. If, like, individual states want to say it's okay, then I'm fine with that as well. But overall, I'll just go with I think generally we can find statistics and see whether Prohibition works or doesn't work. So it's not a matter of completely eliminating, say, gambling, but by keeping most forms of gambling illegal, I think that substantially reduces the amount of gambling in the United States.
Okay, I'm going to refute all of that. First of all, the cirrhosis thing was pointed out by the Cato Institute that people like yourself love to throw that around, but the Cato Institute pointed out that the cirrhosis argument is a straw man, or it's an irrelevant BS and should not be confused with drinking, because drinking only leads to a less than 1% of all cirrhosis cases. So if you have a gigantic reduction in cirrhosis, like 29% during the Prohibition times, you can't say that that's got anything to do with a decrease in drinking, because drinking can't affect cirrhosis that much. You must say that health standards in general increased and got better during that time period, and that happened to happen during the time of the Prohibition, and that is the cause of why cirrhosis deaths decreased. It's not directly related to a decrease in drinking. It's impossible. Even if there was a decrease in drinking, which there wasn't, that cannot be the factor behind cirrhosis. So what they want to do is they want you to believe that cirrhosis is always caused by drinking, and since cirrhosis went way down, therefore that shows you that drinking went way down. But that is a false statistic. So do the research. You'll see that cirrhosis and drinking are not a one-for-one linked cause and effect. There are many reasons for cirrhosis, and back in the 1910s, the 1900s, before they had a lot of medicine that we have today, that is the reason behind the decrease in cirrhosis cases. That's number one. Number two is you just said some BS, and after I had already showed you that the Cato Institute showed that drinking did not go down on the decrease, you came out and said it dropped off by 50%. That is a bogus statistic, and you should stop reporting it, because it's false. And even if it were to be, I don't know what they're basing it on, but even if it were to be that they said, oh, because we surveyed all of the people who were alive then and asked them if they stopped drinking, I'm going to say that a lot of people were lying and they were still drinking, they just didn't want you to know about it. What are they basing that off? Are they basing it off of how many people were arrested? Did you know that the police back east, in the states back east, stopped prosecuting and enforcing the Prohibition laws because it was unenforceable? So what are you basing that on? It is a myth that crime decreased during the Prohibition. It's a myth that crime decreased. Crime and drinking increased. And as far as domestic violence, it increased because the amount of drunkenness increased.